Good afternoon, everybody. Sarah, Beautiful Disaster. You guys know the channel. You guys know me by this point, I would hope. But if this is the first video you're watching, then I'm kind of sorry. But no, I think this is actually going to be a positive thing. So I got another... There's a question that comes up pretty frequently when it comes to trauma in my life. So I was chatting online last night. So those of you who don't know, I chat on IRC not as much as I used to, actually. I think I'm on like once or twice a week now. But, you know, the topic comes up, for those of you who've never been on IRC, it's essentially a sausage fest. So guys message girls a lot, trying to, you know, just chat them up and everything. But, so I had a guy message me last night, as per usual, and, you know, I've been on IRC for almost 21 years this year, so I'm used to this. When we start talking, he asked me if I'm single, I said, no, I'm widowed. And, you know, the whole, how long has it been? Do you have children? You know, those typical kinds of questions that are still the try to get in your pantsy type questions. So I have an honesty policy. I don't hide behind anything when I talk about the things I've been through in my life. And I don't talk about this quite that often on this channel either, but Alex's death is kind of just the latest in the traumas in my life. It's not, by far not the only one. That's actually a long slew. But anyway, so we were chatting about that. He asked me if we had children. I said, no, you know, we had 3 that passed away. You know, why don't you have children? That's one of the more rude questions people ask. And I told him the truth. It's like, you know, we lost 3 over the course of our relationship, and he passed away the day before we decided to give it a shot again. And he said, you know, you've obviously not had an easy life. And I'm like, who does, you know? But, I try to minimize it. But, you know, we kept talking, and, he asked me how I keep busy, you know, how do I handle, you know, rebuilding everything? Because inevitably you get are you okay now? I love that question. I think it's beautifully naive. Are you okay now? It's almost been 2 years, and yeah, most days I think I'm okay. It's a funny, weird transition, but I think most of the time I'm okay now. Well, actually, I think a good chunk of the time I'm okay now. I've started to rebuild things. I've started to see things different. And that's been going on for a while now. I'm sure my videos have kind of reflected that anyway. But, so I told him the truth. You know, I do the widows group in the community once a month, looking at doing it twice a month. I give talks on resiliency and grief. I chat with people. I go out and I meet with other people who are going through kind of the same things, and try to share those experiences, because I think the act of giving someone a safe zone to talk about what they've been through is the most healing thing you can do for somebody. So he asked me what is probably the hardest question to answer that people ask now. And it is, how can you, why do you? It comes in various different forms. Usually, and the way he put it was, how can you help somebody through their grief when you're still going through your own? And I think it's a fundamental lack of knowledge of anything about me. There's something very healing in watching that spark hit somebody's eyes when they realize they're in the presence of someone who gets it. Not just grief, like spousal grief. I mean, grief has been a very large part of my life, and there's lots of different types of grief. I had to learn to let go of people and things that I love very early in my life. I had to learn to Jedi the whole thing. A very Buddhist way of looking at things. You know, I appreciate the people in my life, and I think that's really it. I don't appreciate the things in my life as much, but I definitely appreciate the people in my life a lot more. But that's how. I mean, you know, the how of it, the why of it is because I enjoy helping people heal. That's just me. That's part of how I am. I don't like watching people suffer. Even when I'm suffering, you know, and I think a large part of the time now I can say with a straight face that I'm not suffering anymore as much, but, you know, I choose, it's a choice. It's a choice. The how of it is, for the first year after Alex died, and then you even track back to 7 years ago when I tried to kill myself. Sorry, more than 7 years ago. 11 years ago. I had to make a conscious choice that life had to go on. That there had to be something more, there had to be something better, and if there wasn't, I had to create it, because there was no way that I was going to let myself off this rock knowing full well that I had more shit to do. So I do it. Every morning I pick my phone up, I check my messages, I check Facebook, I check in with the people who I care about and the people who I know care about me, and I put one foot in front of the other and I just do it. In large part because, one, that keeps me going, but also because I know there are people out there who maybe don't know me and maybe don't need me necessarily, but when we bump into each other, there's that instant connection of, how can I help you? How do I make this better? And not even how do I make it better? How do I help you make these same kind of decisions? Because trust me, it would be very easy at this point in my life to not make that choice. Maybe not anymore. But there are a lot of people who would step into the therapy box at this point, and would, hang on a second. There'd be a lot of people who would step into therapy with a therapist and start spouting off the things that I've been through in my life, and I've done this. You can watch the blood drain from their face. There've been lots of different points in my life where it would have been easy and I think even justifiable for me to not make that choice and to just kind of fade out and go. But, I don't think that's something I can do. Honestly, I've tried. I've thought about it. But I think that's the key, is that you have to trust the scar tissue. You have to trust the natural lidocaine that comes with time. And it's cliche. And sometimes it's not true at all. Time is not the great healer. Movement is the great healer. And you kind of don't get a choice in the amount of time that you have after that. You just kind of, you have a choice in when you take that first step. So for me, that's the how and the why. Why do I wake up every morning, and why do I do what I do? And how can you give of yourself when there's not much to give of? And the answer is you expand for it. I mean, you can choose to be a miserable human being, and that's your right. You can choose to shrivel up in a corner and become something that you're not. You can let the world beat you if you really want to. I choose not to. And I choose to reach out to those who equally do not want to, or to help those people realize that they can come back from that decision. Grief is a difficult process, but it is a process, and it will fly back at you at the randomest, weirdest moments. It'll hit you with insecurity, it will hit you with negativity, it will hit you with trauma, it'll curl you into a ball on your couch and soak the back of it in tears before you have to get up and move again. But the point is that you have to move through it. You have to push through it. You have to poke that bubble. And I find it to be incredibly true in my life that it is part of my gifts, but also part of my, part of me, I guess, to give back to those who need it the most. Even when I don't necessarily, even when I probably need it right back. That's my core, it's my center, and that's what I had to learn to reignite. So, just some insight, take the steps you need to, and make those choices for yourself. And just believe that you are awesome. And believe that you can. And reach out for help from those of us who've been there. And those of the people that you care about. You know, make that a routine. And it'll be okay. It has to be okay. I mean, things turn around one way or the other, no matter what you do anyway. So I think it's better to always tilt it toward the positive as much as you can. So, I love you guys. Thank you very much for all the comments on the videos and the private messages, and we've been chatting, and it's been awesome. And a big shout out to the people in my life who keep me solid and keep me steady. Without knowing it in a lot of instances, and the people that I've chosen to surround myself with, I can't thank everybody enough for, you know, it's been 2 years coming up in a couple of months, and I'm okay. And I will keep helping people do the same. And it's in large part because the people around me have been so fucking amazingly awesome and continue to be a source of strength for me. So anyway, have a good rest of your guys' day. I look forward to chatting with you some more. Bye.